Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy Coach saying welcome to the channel. Now today I'll be going over what some might call an oldie, but as I've just done a walkthrough on it, which by the way, if you've not checked that out, take a look in this corner right here, and that is for Hellblade Senua Sacrifice. So that's right, I picked up the 2017 award-winning title by Ninja Theory, and I thought let me just jump straight into Helheim, not knowing too much about it, and just give it a go. And if you don't know the Helheim reference, I'm sure you'll understand it by the time you've finished watching this video. Now, I'm not a wordsmith, so don't expect any sort of fancy metaphors or some elongated explanations and different things. The idea of this review is literally just for you guys, on a casual perspective, what I thought about the game and whether or not you should be playing it. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. So as I mentioned before, Hellblade Senua Sacrifice came out in 2017, developed by Studio Ninja Theory. Funny enough, this was only originally on Windows and PS4 in 2017, with it coming to Xbox in 2018 and Nintendo Switch in 2019. The game focused around the character Senua, who I'd say was a warrior who set out to make her way into Helheim in order to retrieve the soul of her dead lover from the goddess Hela. Now, I mentioned Helheim before, as the game takes a strong lean towards Nordic mythology, with many references and stories throughout, from Odin to Thor and even Loki from time to time. If you're like me and a fan of Marvel, or even shows like Vikings, then I'm sure these names are familiar to you and will pick up your interest to hear tales of them throughout many, what I would call, random points in the game, which don't actually link back to the story, so it's quite nice to stumble across them and hear tales of what I'm sure will be many stories in that particular time. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't quite sure how to describe the genre of this game after completing, but I would now probably lean towards it being an adventure game that takes aspects such as puzzle solving like I was in an old school Tomb Raider or Prince of Persia game, and hack and slash elements for its combat, and even a hint of thriller to just keep things interesting. Now, I mentioned before, the combat is a hack and slash, and for someone like myself who would like to consider himself a well-rounded gamer, I feel anyone who picks up a pad will get a nice satisfaction to how the combat operates. It's simple yet rewarding. Just getting the timings right on parries and seeing the space around you slow down, allowing you to get into the enemy, or a good time dodge from your opponents coming away from the combat, gives you enough to feel fulfilled, like the game is challenging you somewhat. The enemies themselves aren't exactly complicated and aren't too mobile, but it's the waves of them which can spawn from anywhere and everywhere in a particular zone you're in, and at times a mix between the, I would say, normal mobs and the elite mobs, and having to figure out who to parry first or who to dodge away from is what really keeps it going for me. Going back to our star Senua, it's worth me mentioning that she suffers from psychosis, and the developers, you can tell from working with the numerous experts, really did their best to depict this. Throughout the game, she's dealing with what she refers to as is the curse, where there are many voices talking within her head continuously throughout the game. Now, if I could leave you with any little bit of advice from this review, would be to ensure you are paying attention to those voices. At times you might hear those voices instruct Senua to give up. Don't take these as a reason to ignore what they're saying, because at times, whether it's in combat or simply at a point you're trying to figure out a puzzle, they can offer you immense help. It was on more than one occasion I heard a watch out and needed to switch targets quickly because an enemy had spawned behind me and I was clueless without the call. Now, whether you go on to play and find the enemies challenging, I got a real kick from the puzzle solving element. Now, this aspect of the game changed for every zone, but the premise would be the same. Focus on trying to find the runes to unlock the door to move on to the next stage. This at times presented to be a challenge which only Odin himself needed to be right by my side and help me out, as I'd miss out glaring cases of them being right in my face, or having to do things prior where if only I'd listened to the voices, it would have made my life a whole lot easier. Now, this isn't to say at times it was all my fault, as there was one particular occasion where I clearly found one of them, but because I hadn't looked at it from a slightly different angle, it never appeared to activate.
Look at that! Is that really not it? Oh, guys, I would have thought that's it. The most logical as far as recognizable similarity to an up. Ah! Okay.
Safe to say I wasn't totally impressed. But with all puzzle games, once I figured them out, it was truly satisfying to progress with the story onwards, and the mechanic to unlock these puzzles, you could appreciate the creative way the developers set them out for us to solve. Overall, this game, I'm not gonna lie, even the times I was truly stumped by the puzzles and needed on more than one occasion to take a breather, as someone who doesn't normally play puzzle solving games, I came away with a great sense of real gratification when it came to completing the story. With an amazing setting, fulfilling combat, and impressive use of bringing to light conditioning which I wouldn't have normally been aware of prior, wrapped in a Nordic tale, I was hooked. For those of you who have Xbox Game Pass, I would say don't waste any more time and add that to your playlist and install. With me saying that, you have no excuse now not to play, with Xbox Game Pass now being on your console, PC and Android device, and for those that don't have that, I would still recommend picking it up. The game should take you around 7 to 10 hours, give or take, depending on how quick you get through each stage. And to be honest with you, after playing through and hearing now that they've confirmed for a sequel, I'm glad I experienced the game, and I'm sure you would too. And remember, for the best experiences, pop on a pair of headphones and sit back and hang in there with your new best friends. That's it for this review. Thanks again for watching guys, and see you on the next one. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again guys.